Hello everyone. One of my patrons a couple months ago asked me to do old-fashioned Let's Plays, like I used to do, for games I liked. Well, I couldn't think of another game I liked more than RimWorld. I have 1,400 hours in the game. That's not even a joke. Look on the screen right now. That's my playtime. Um, what you're seeing now is my setup, so you can play along with. The seed is Lesbos. You have all the factions. Just pause the video and go through the list and everything like that. Now, I was thinking I could do this like Stellaris, so I decided to go back and play. Anyway, welcome to RimWorld. We do use prepare carefully because, um, let's face it, I like to have custom colonists, and it's just fun. RimWorld, for those who don't know about it, is about starting a colony with a group of non-functional people, sometimes not in a society at all. In this case, we have to form society from bare bones. Your laws are what you make them. This means anything from organ harvesting to cannibalism, romance, sweet teeth, ant farm building, dead. Give each of those about 10 count in between, you know, how it is. You can do all of these. So you can harvest organs, have cannibalism, romance, require sweets, and you get your ant farm building all on. And in addition to this, and horrific death. The death is usually the most common outcome. Something in that order will happen, and you just have to accept it. Your objective is to tell a story. That story has goals you set and ends when everyone is dead, or in the case of a new expansion, you can have colonists just reoccupy the dead colony. Death is simply the chance to tell another story in the same place. Now, we did a desert challenge. While I have completed the challenge all the way to the end, I've also done extreme cold, and I've just never completed extreme desert. I've even done ice sheet. And I would say that people will tell you the ice sheet is the most challenging environment, but once you've got the cold and the food problem fixed, the ice sheet's not that hard. The ice sheet then just becomes a matter of the time. And the same thing with the extreme desert. It becomes a matter of time once you solve the food and the heat problems. Although extreme desert does have the caveat that there are huge sections of the desert that are soft sand that you can't build on at all, so your buildings end up looking bad and also functioning very suboptimally. I will say the ice sheet, however, is not the most challenging environment. Fight me in the comments. Come on, bring it. But I have been given an idea. What if I lived in an environment that no one dares go to? What if there's a place that has extreme desert heat, extremely lethal animals, difficulty building anywhere, and wanted you very dead, and wasn't the depths of space? Say hello to the miasmic mangrove, a mod from Alpha Biomes that provides this one and the only harder biome it provides is, I quote, Kong's Skull Island. I mean, Feralisk giant spider infested jungle, a literal wall of unsettled volcanic lava flow. That's a thing. Anyway, so with that under mind, I felt it necessary to enter in to a new colony. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, the first chunk of this video might be a little distressing for some of you. So, you see, the swamp is another biome I never succeeded at. I have endured the tundra, the ice sheet, the temperate forest is the easiest and most go-to one. Nothing but mountain, fallout wastelands, but the desert we only recently completed. Now, the miasmic mangrove is worse than the ice sheet, despite the fact you have resources. Let me explain. You may see permanent summer, but permanent summer is a curse from the miasmic mangrove. Permanent summer is a curse. when the temperature can reach 183 Fahrenheit, or roughly 73 C, without a heat wave, you know, within spitting distance of the ambient air, being able to boil water, literally, your crops will catch on fire. Spontaneously catch on fire. It's not a happy place. It gets worse. Malaria, gut worms, muscle parasites, leftover bioweapons, those fucking spiders and their venom and webs. Oh, and the common flu are going to strike us religiously and without mercy. Predators roam about and they look at your colonists as just more food. And if you're not prepared to fight them, you just get eaten. And open wounds generate many more infections, so I think it's funny that my colonists want to play five-finger fillet with knives. So remember I said most colonies in the game result in death and failure. I'm going to add another element of failure to that mix. Twitch tools. You, the audience, are co-storytellers with Randy Random on Blood and Dust. That's not a joke. This is why I have a habit of doing this, and the colony is inhabited by the same people who are trying to send loads of murderous animals, tornadoes, and other problems. So, our goals are as follows. We must destroy the kingdoms and the empire. 3 great houses, 2 bad, maliciously aligned kingdoms, 2 shogunates, and the super technologically advanced empire must fall to our hand. We must be able to cure or prevent all miasmic diseases. All of them. We must find the relics of our religion based off the Has-Been Hotel, because this is for the memes. We must find at least 5 named weapons, have a total population of 21, with 1 person being a former prostitute, and we must have a steady supply of whiskey. This way we can say we have blackjack and hookers. We must have at least the 4 original colonists must survive, or have surviving children who have become adults. There must be 10 xenotypes in the colony, total. We could have more, but we have to have at least 10. We must have 4 allies, and host a senator of the Republic, the Roman Republic style faction. We must slay a mechanoid archon, and we must slay a dragon. And so we begin at attempt number 1. As you can see, this is my actual setup for this. You can see all the factions on the right hand of the screen that have been added in. You can see the seed is Lesbos, and the different sliders where they're tuned to. So if you want to play with me, you can do that. We're going to load in our 4 colonists that I've pre-prepared. Part of this is also a no pause challenge, meaning I can't pause the game. Not I can't accidentally press pause and go, whoopsie, I did the thing. No, I have a mod that's disabled the pause button. If the game is loaded and running, I cannot pause the game. So we begin. We set up a little place to live. We started with some teepees. Some people are going, you started with thrumbos. That's overpowered. Actually, it's not. When the thrumbo is your sacred animal, you can't kill it for meat or for its fur to make armor. And one of our colonists landed pregnant. Now, the screen's a little problematic right now. That's because the initial settings weren't quite right. They'll be fixed shortly, and then you'll be able to see everyone's... there we go. Nice and fixed. But we have a little baby. We have baby Pony Chick and baby Final Sight now. Several viewers immediately joined. This is the very first attempt, so you're going to see many attempts as we get through this. So we started with Fiaura, Caffey, Owlite, and Dreamer Glitch, and Tribal, Rockkiff, Solar all joined, and then Randy sent us a former raider who joined us. A former raider that we have to redeem. As you can see, we're having some mental break problems. We're trying to work on it. Dreamer Glitch wants to marry me because at present our ideology when you start as a tribal start and you develop an ideology step by step, it doesn't have any precepts. You have to add those. So there was no condition for how many people you could marry at the start, nor was there even a condition you had to wear clothes. Tribal is pouring through research, Dreamer Glitch is enjoying a book, and then finally passes out from exhaustion. We're making heavy tribal wear, which is a mistake on my part, because I didn't realize how hot it was going to be. You notice it's 10 o'clock at night as the autosave hits, and it's 110 degrees indoors and 105 to outside. The torches are kind of heating things up. I'm going to attempt a leader speech to keep us motivated, to keep us from snapping. We're pretty close to the edge. Several people are pretty close to the edge. Rotkiv is having some issues, which is understandable. Rotkiv is the former raider who joined us, and Spectre is. There will be some times you see me in dev mode, and that's because a mod's not working properly, or something has gone horribly awry that literally shouldn't have happened. But Spectre is our former raider, and they have a story to tell. A story of redemption. So now you're going to see me type in the initial colonist names. This is how the Twitch mod sets them up. Basically, if you talk in Twitch chat, it identifies your username. And then I can type it in here directly, or you can buy a ticket. And you can join the queue to get a random pawn. And we're going to attempt, using the shitty mud rock that we've extracted from the swamp we live in, to build this monument. Later, I know we'll convert the monument into a temple for us to use. And as you can see, our little river village is starting to come along. We've got a wall. We've actually got a wall now to keep the wild animals out. So no more wild animals wandering in, we hope. We've got clothes on people. You notice when they go to bed, or when they're inside, they take their hat off. When they go to bed, they take off their clothes. So we've got, and that does count, by the way. That's a mod that does make that count. So if their clothes are off and someone attacks them, they don't count as having that armor. And I find that to be a really beneficial, realistic mod, because even I don't go to bed fully clothed unless I have to. Having some issues with the soup pots, because I realize now that the vanilla expanded rock construct right there will not empty or deliver stuff to... I need to actually send a message to Oscar about that. I need to be reminded. And then our first real raid shows up, and you notice they're very much technologically more advanced than we are. Thankfully, that quest to build that monument came with some nice things. Those nice things being a Mjolnir striker, which does take out one person. I did not notice it till now, but it did take out one person. And an orbital beam targeter that we're just gonna blow. You know, as you do. Apparently one of them had a fire foam popper on themselves. Apparently they intended to come and take the colony, and that meant that they had to set the place on fire. We're starting to be able to replace some of our walls with stone. It's cobblestone from stones we've been digging out of the river, but it's cobblestone, which is less flammable than wood. We've laid down a concrete foundations in the hospital to try to minimize the infection rate. Concrete foundation, concrete bridges are the first thing you can build, and it's built from steel. That can help with that. And then later we upgrade to bronze tiles, which are the precept to... and we've been doing quests. And the reason why you do quests... This is actually our... by the time you're seeing this footage, This is actually our 4th or 5th attempt. That's right. The raid you're seeing is the 4th attempt's defeat. All of those people outside, some of them already broken in. We're scrambling to put up some sort of defense. And then another raid shows up on the other side. Which thankfully, the quest we'd accepted to rescue that Imperial guy stopped that raid. But we gotta stop 2 more. No rest for the wicked. So now we're on attempt 5. This is I said this is the 5th attempt. You'll notice the dead insect corpses in the lower left hand of the screen. Yeah, this is going about as well as you think it would. Randy had a lightning storm that burned down our outer wall, and now we're on attempt 6 because those insects were from our failure. They killed several colonists, and attempt 6 ends with a bang. We took on a quest that gave us 10 champions to deal with a mechanoid psychic droner cluster that would arrive. And it arrives with Goliaths, Siege Breakers, Pikemen, Carpenters, and Centipedes. None of which are good. We have early medieval technology. Our weapons tech and our armor is early medieval. To like middle of the medieval period level stuff. Those champions that are here all got sick and don't have our enhanced immunity from our ideology because we took healthcare. Because let's face it, we live in a fucking miasma. We better have some good idea of how to treat disease. Siege melters, turrets, and I think there's 1 high shield, and I'm wrong. There's 3. And if I would have stopped and noticed that when I was trying to chain these, I would have realized that the bombardments weren't, all the targeters we had were not going to work. That was every targeter we had, everyone we saved up on this attempt. And they all failed. They all failed miserably. I'm sending in the shock troops anyway. I know they're gonna die. I activate seek and destroy mode so they will attack whatever. They immediately get hit with a heavy flamer, and just Townie there just gets incinerated out the gate. They manage to destroy most of the heavy turrets. They bring a couple of the mechs low, but at the end of the day, I sent in the ones who weren't sick, and I should have brought the sick ones too. I just sent everybody in and hoped. They did significant damage to the Psychic Droner, and the high shields will shut off in 2 days. In the meantime, the chat sends me another orbital targeter, which we use to repel the initial mech assault. Now we've got to keep this fucking Scyther stunned because it can cut right through my armor like it's a butter. My Thrumbo and I can barely hurt the thing. I mean, I'm wailing on it with this mace over and over again, and the chain lightning is actually doing more damage to it than I am. And then we got the Siege Breaker, which thankfully Lunar found an assault hammer on one of the raids we repelled, and that thing can punch right through. It doesn't do the most damage, but it punches right through most armor. And on the 3rd hit, it's down. Alright, we got the Centurion. We're going to try to use magical bullshit. That's not me pausing the game, by the way. That is the game lagging. I have a lot of mods. The mod list is in the description. And as we unleash everything we have, we fall back and get away with it. Only to find out we did minimal damage. The Centipede suffering from multiple direct hits from the explode. I'm trying not to hit our own wall. And bang. Headshot. Minimal damage. Owl Eyes dead. And I don't notice immediately, but Owli's bonded Thrumbo is on a rampage. And then a dire raid shows up while we're still dealing with all of that. Oh god. Colony collapse syndrome impacting. I'm ordering myself to use a psychic power, word of sincerity, to calm the Thrumbo down that's trying to murder a literal child. I forgot that it will treat it like an enemy, so we need to get back in there. The child is somehow not dead. And trying to fight off the Thrumbo with a Thrumbo plushie. Psalm trying to fight off a Thrumbo with a Thrumbo plushie. So she's in the hospital. That Thrumbo is out of commission for 3 days because of the word of sincerity. I'm out of psychic powers personally, but my character in this run, one of the restrictions I placed on myself is my personal character doesn't have offensive psychic powers. They have colony support powers. And then the dire raid was coming from 2 different directions, and we've got people locked outside with it, with that centipede at the same time. It's pandemonium. Lunar Beat, I just tell them, all right, fine, just start wailing people away. Adagio's on fire. He's the head cook. Caught outside, trying to get out here to rescue the next person we sent out, which was the remaining champions we were sent to help deal with this, trying to rescue them from impending death. One of the champions we married off, by the way, and they were the lucky one, because the game let me marry them off for an alliance. But yeah, I pull Lunar Beat back, who's already beaten up. I send Caffey Cup out, my wife, in full combat mode to cover Lunar Beat and then to try to close the door. The centipede is helping and hindering us. This Impid raid is not going well. And finally, I say, screw it. If I hit my own fucking bunker, we hit it. Hoping that the rounds will deviate enough to splash the centipede and kill it. So far, they're not. I might have wasted my entire last beacon. And then bang! One single round, because the centipede moved towards the epicenter, a single round splashed it. But we are in total triage mode. The champions are all dead or dying. We're not going to save any of them. No, none of them are going home. Owli's dead. Adagio is permanently maimed for life. His entire face is covered in burn scars. There's the achievement. The achievements I've disabled, by the way, because Vanilla Achievements Expanded's been discontinued and it's causing problems, and it upsets me that achievement expanded. So Oscar, if you see this for some reason, talk to me. I'll pay to have achievements expanded updated. That'd be nice. And properly, made to not cause problems. I'm trying to figure out a solution now to that. If we can get in there and get under that thing's gun using their own walls, we could kill it. And then we could kill the droner and we could kill the remaining mechs. But that, sadly, is the end of attempt number 6. We tried to get in there and got gunned down. The turret did not have any mercy. So now we're on attempt 7. Attempt 7, we replaced 2 of the Thrumbos with Timberwolves. It drastically decreases the colony's overall value, and because they're not venerated animals, as part of this challenge is keeping the most... It's a very combat capable animal, but it's also an animal that eats the absolute most, and it being a venerated animal means if it dies, it's a massive mood. It's the same mood debuff as a dead colonist. But keeping them happy That's a challenge in and of itself. Now, the game did spawn me this time with 2 female Thrumbos, named Brat and Trouble. And what you're witnessing right now is me at the start of the game checking all the mods and everything to make sure they're working. And here is our goals on screen. Finally, our goals on screen. And it's at this point that I must tell you the first 25 minutes of this video was me ranting about RimWorld. Talking about all of the things going on. Now, I'm going to ask you to hit the like button, because now we're going to get into the actual story of this colony. So, it should be noted, the big core mods I'm using are Combat Extended, Alpha Biomes, a lot of the vanilla expanded, but vanilla sidecast and tribals is definitely a must-have here. Medieval Overhaul, so I have to go through a much more difficult and long medieval period. A fair bit of total determination, and no pause. The mod list is in the description below. If you want to install it yourself, I don't recommend it because the mod list is very long and extensive and difficult. But the link I have included below is actually a save file in which you can see the load order and everything you need to set up to optimize the mod list. Good luck. In the meantime, our first raid shows up. Everything I've talked about to this point is failure after failure after failure. We got our big heavy clubs, and our animals get overextended immediately. We were going to try to let them in, but since they're overextended, seek and destroy. So me and my Lunar and my wife head out to fight them, along with, no, I'm still armed with a bow. I'm still armed with a bow on this attempt. I get out my my club and try. Sometimes the clicks don't go through for me. I don't know why. I tried to activate combat command, didn't work. Didn't take the time to figure it out. But this is our first battle for survival. First time trying to figure out if this is going to be another failure, and the only thing that goes horribly wrong is Trespasser, a bonded Timberwolf, falls in the battle. A second one of our Timberwolves also burned to death, but it wasn't bonded. It was one of the fresh puppy Timberwolves. So we got our little wolvesies, and then a trade caravan around. Randy felt bad about murdering a couple of our wolves, apparently. I mean, it's Randy Randerson. What are you expecting? It is what it is. We sell all the extra raider gear that showed up. They've got a blonde Thrumbo Ravager armor, but I ain't got $3 grand. And the chat has yet to accumulate enough coins to really influence stuff, but I realize they'll buy anything we have in our stockpile from the raider weapons, which can drastically decrease the colony's wealth at this stage. I mean, getting rid of a Thrumbo would too, because that's one of the problems with this challenge, is those Thrumbos are worth 10 to 15 grand each, depending on how well they're trained. And that's 10 to 15 grand being added to my raids. You can see why the first raid had 12 people. Usually the first raid is one person with a club. Not 12. Welcome to playing on harder difficulty than you expect. We got our rice field, but now it is time to convert it to the medieval foods. So we're going to have garlic and lentils. We're going to start, we're growing coffee and psychoid because we have 2 people that require caffeine. Myself and Dreamer Glitch require caffeine as a dependency in our genes. Further, Lunar requires psychoate, and also those two things will provide a small mood boost and things like that. Now, what you're seeing, what just happened, is I can press the escape button and pause the game. But there's a caveat. You notice the caveat? The UI disappears. You can't see any of the menus. You can't click on anything. Yeah. The merchant also has these Ripper Hounds, which are genetically engineered puppies to murder insectoids. And they've got some real armor penetration down there. 13 millimeters of steel sharp penetration. And they even have a nuzzle interval. Although, why you would want to nuzzle and pet that thing affectionately, I question your sanity. And there's a breeding pair. So, of course, I go into the merchant and I'm like, sure, we'll adopt some Ripper Hounds. As many as we can. And I try to figure out what I can sell that we could theoretically survive without to get the third hound. So we can have 2 breeding females and we can bring up the population. So I go ahead and say, fuck it. Sell the beer and the smoke leaf. Sell the steel arrow. Sell whatever I can. We're going to pay for these Ripper Hounds in gold. And so we get Fluffy. And his friendly mate over here named Snuggles. And they're going to begin to breed some Ripper Hounds for us. Kind of like we start breeding colonists. A new colonist has shown up, Luau. Lunar Beat is a Krogan, like Mass Effect Krogan. Now you're starting to see why the mod list is so extensive. And of course, that's what my tips look like. For reasons. But when people do drop tips, I give coins to the stream to do things with. Sometimes those are nice things. Sometimes those are mean things. Sometimes those are weird things, like sending me 300 human leather. What do you think I'm going to do with 300 human leather? I'm just curious. But yeah, we're trying to make it function. Trying to make it work. Trying to figure out what does work and what doesn't. Some people want some charity. Solar Aura from the audience sends me a fuckload of tequila, and I know exactly what to do with it. In order to help keep the colony value down, I'm gonna just liquidate it. And what you're seeing right now is actually being played at 300% speed. That's because there's just a lot of little logistic stuff we have to do, and it's very satisfying, but it's still a thing we have to do. We start cooking medieval meals. We've augmented our kitchen slightly. Tribal joins us, and Pony Chick takes over the case of Lao. Tribal actually bought their joining from chat, so I have to just deal with another colonist. This is one of the things you have to remember. I'm at the whims of chat, and everybody wants to be in the colony. So Tribal's going to be a silver dragon. Silver half dragon. And our primary researcher. Now, Medieval Overhaul, normally I'd welcome more people. I noticed Pony Chick has an ability called Anima Song because she's an animakin. Which, when mixed with the anima tree, means that everybody gets a mood boost because there's a psychic song that the tree is singing. I realize now we're not able to build because it's trying to build steel bridges, but we can build beds on wood, and I know we can. So I have to redesign the. See, this is the difficulty of living in a swamp. You have to build bridges to support stuff, and also you have random creatures sneak in, like this griffin who's in a wrong place at the wrong time using that sky steel battle axe we stole from a raider. Beat its ass! I'm looking for finish off, by the way, when I'm right clicking. It's not popping up because the griffin's on fire and I didn't realize it at the time. Got our first harvest of garlic, peppers, onions, lentils. Unlocking side casts. And of course, spaceship chunks fall from the sky. So that sidecast thing was me unlocking a path for free because you're supposed to start with a path pre-unlocked at random. And I'm going to say this. Because of how much you guys abuse sending me beam targeters. I mean, they make things easier, especially at the start, but it feels disgusting. I've multiplied the cost of all beam targeters by 20 times. And if I see another drop of 10 of them somehow, I will multiply its current amount by 20 times. I don't want to remove them altogether as an option, but I am annoyed. One of the things you may have noticed is everyone is still living in a barracks that I've just been making bigger. I've decided to give up on individual bedrooms for this run. Normally I build individual bedrooms, but because of the extra space that would require, and we either have to build bridges to construct stuff on, or we have to terraform the land, individual bedrooms ain't gonna work. People are trying to send blueprints to speed up technology, and the blueprints are too advanced for me to use, so I just let them deteriorate. They're just too advanced for me. Can't do it. But now we're starting to get some of the medieval things in here, and our dining room is going to finally stop being our storeroom as well. We're going to get in some of these barrels to store the textiles in. We're turning this room directly next to our dining room where we're currently storing everything into a workshop. And you can feel a difference in a colony that was designed organically versus a colony that was designed from the top down in God mode. You can really start feeling the difference. Because colonies that were designed organically have completely separate storage buildings. Alright, I'm randomly rolling to see who's joining us, and this one, little baby Gar, has been born. I'm waiting for people to actually, make sure they have their ticket in queue and stuff like that. Because the people who were rolling aren't here. If you're not there during the stream and you want in on the colony and a random pawn gets added either through birth or Randy just going, here's a pawn, well then you want to be a colonist, that's fine and dandy. You gotta be here for roll call, man. But you can see like the little changes being made. We have an animal sleeping area now, a little barn over there, a tanning rack section with glass skylights so we can tan our stuff indoors. This hunting party showed up and pissed off the rhinos, and the rhinos were having none of it. And this is actually me being worried those rhinos are going to come to me because they could kill us all. But then it turns out the hunting party has fully automatic weapons compared to our clubs and short bows, and yeah, so we're going to take advantage of this and just, rhino meat sounds delicious. We've relocated the anima trees now to be out here next to the base using a mod that lets you replant anima trees, because you can replant any tree. Why can't you replant your anima trees? And I say anima trees plural. Some people will be like, you can't have more than one. Incorrect, sir. On default settings, you can't have more than one. If you set the colony size to large or use a custom size larger than 300, it can spawn up to 3 anima trees simultaneously. Incorrect, sir. You can have more than one anima tree. And this is something we're going to really take advantage of, because getting our colonists to be able to defend themselves when they're going to be constantly technologically behind is going to be done through psychic power wizardry. By God, we will defend ourselves using psychic powers. You're probably wondering what that creature is. It's called a raptor shrimp. They're going to come into play later, but I am going to say this. They are exactly as terrifying as they look. They are 3 meters long. made of velociraptor and shrimp and undersea shrimp DNA with giant blades. And this is what it's like to play RimWorld, folks. You are often the fucking ant being stepped on by the goddamn Bile Titan, but sometimes you manage 50 kills with a single hell bomb. And as I say that, a raid shows up. And remember how I said you guys keep abusing the orbital beam targeters? One of the problems with orbital beam targeters is their value. They are only usable once, and then they're gone. You know how much an orbital beam targeter is worth? A fully functional 100% repaired orbital beam targeter is worth 2,100 silver in RimWorld. Silver is the currency. 2,100 is 5 of those raiders that I just blasted. 5 of them. I don't know what I'm going to do with 20 by 82 millimeter Mauser ammunition. I mean, I'll take the scrap metal and we can melt it down and make it into steel that we can use. Redesigning our kitchen. Checking why we're having a break risk, because I'm usually very good at managing colonies, even with large numbers of people. And already we have a shitload of colonists. Now, one of our goals is 21 colonists because blackjack, but because we can say we have blackjack and hookers, but dear God, there are 10 colonists and we're still in the Stone Age. Coming into the medieval era, our weapons are still very primitive. We're eating nice because of medieval cooking, but our weapons are still very primitive. As you can see, I built a little forge in here to go in our dining room. It's a awkward situation for it to be both, but it is what it is. We've adopted a little dog named Champ. Final Sight's got food poisoning, of course, but Final Sight's also starting to develop their psychic powers, and I use Joy Fuzz on them while they're eating, because once you start eating, you can't have a mental break until the eating animation finishes. So I use that while they're eating so that the Joy Fuzz has time to take effect and fill the mood bar. Now we've got a man trap, which is a literal walking plant that eats people, that has gone manhunter, and we are scrambling out here. I'm scrambling. I'm not a frontline, like, my character doesn't have frontline psychic powers. I've got to be a frontline soldier. But thankfully, Lunar's psychic powers have matured enough to be able to one-shot some of the lesser threats. And that's a lesser threat. Now, we've got a bear who joined us. Jenny McBearson. It's the 5th time we've had a grizzly bear in these 6 runs so far. And, yeah, Jenny McBearson. But as you can see, we've started putting in these salting barrels to salt our meat so it doesn't spoil as quickly. We've got a kitchen developed. We've expanded the barracks to be uniform in size. We've got a very primitive freezer that's not quite freezing stuff, but it is refrigerating it. And the difference between freezing and refrigeration is about 18 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius. But even if it's just refrigerated, it does make it where the food lasts a lot longer. And during the colder times, we do hit refrigeration. But as you can see in the lower right, it is a cold snap. And it's 140 degrees Fahrenheit outside at 7 o'clock at night. This is normal for this region. The reason why this becomes harder than the ice sheet is in the ice sheet, more clothes is always better. More armor is always better. In these temperatures, our armor choices... By the way, thank you, Boomer Cat. I'm just doing this to embarrass you. Solely to embarrass you. Yeah, it's immortalized now. Can't take it back. In these temperatures, you have to figure out armor combinations, especially now in 1.4 and 1.5 versions of RimWorld, where it no longer just counts the outermost layer of clothing. In Combat Extended, which is one of the things we're using, it's always counted your total layering. But it no longer counts the best piece of clothing but it adds it all up. So we're using dozens of those of those evaporation coolers, and we're unleashing all the psychic powers we have to stop this raid. Even if it's blasting our own animals, we can't. We got caught outside. Caffey's got kill skip, which is an amazing power. It lets her attempt a killing blow, and if she successfully kills the target, she skips to the next target and kills and attempts it on them too at no cost, and continues until she fails to kill. But yeah, we're having to fire all of our psychic powers. We're fighting in deep dark melee combat. We started getting medieval armor and weapons, as you can see from the flat top helmets, and the great axe. Lunar Beat is still using that great axe she got, and that last strike. Timberwolf and a Ripper Hound both gone. We're getting injuries. This is not good. I don't know that we can hold these guys off. And there goes another Timberwolf and another Ripper Hound. The two Ripper Hounds were juveniles. I hadn't even had a chance to name them yet. Again, if you guys are gonna keep sending those fucking those bombardment and beam targeters, I'm gonna keep making them more expensive. And then these guys show up, and I'm actually glad for the targeter this time. I'm legitimately glad for it, because these guys show up with intent. They've got mega tardigrades. They've got guns. They're actually these pirate fuckers are actually scary. Straight up, these pirate fuckers are actually scary. And the orbital bombardment targeter just took out their initial rush. They've got firearms. We don't. We're on hunter bows. We're not even on long bows or great bows or war bows. We're on hunter bows. Our psychic powers outrange most of our bows. And this is when I realized there's a problem with the medieval overhaul embrasures. Normally I'd use the embrasures and just hide and have people shoot, but the medieval overhaul ones have extremely narrow lines of fire. Like, very narrow lines of fire, and they don't work very well. So we're going to be replacing. I'm going to have to replace them with the standard combat extended ones. Remember, though, embrasures do work both ways. So if I can shoot them, they can shoot back at me, which is what happened to Owleye. And you know, I can't pause. I'm trying to make sure she's got all of her powers powered up before she jumps in. Because, oh look! Did you think this raid was almost over? No! No, it's not. This is gonna be a bloody one. One of them's riding a slurrypede, and that mechanoid fucker has gotten inside. So I can't go out and help my wife, who's locked out behind the wall with all her animals. Timberwolf just died. I'm trying to kill this fucking thing. I unleashed psychic bullshit on it, and I forget. Ice Beam, you always want to aim at the square behind your opponent, because it's about everyone it passes through, not about where it stops. So you always want to aim behind. Colonist down. Rockkiv's been knocked out. Not injured, just knocked the fuck out. Timberwolf down. Timberwolf down. It's I told you it was gonna get bloody. That's dead, by the way. They're not down, they're dead. So you can see another Timberwolf is over there fighting to stay alive. We're still locked in combat with this slurrypede up here. I'm trying. I'm having them retreat because the fight's over, and then it's just triage. We have to finish off this fucking slurrypede, and then we have to triage. And you can see the death messages piling up. I missed the death message here. Jenny McBarrison. Recoyote, I appreciate that you keep sending me grizzly bears. And every one of them has a fantastic tale. But they usually end in tragedy. So, Paladin, Barry McBarrison, Jenny McBarrison, Warhol and thicker with 4 C's. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, you big grizzly bears, but you're all dead. That's all the bears that have died in this run. I'm trying to have to see if there's anyone worth capturing. I don't really see anyone, and I see all of the downed wolves, and then I realize why they're not being drugged back. Something's wrong with the beds. I'm just now realizing something's wrong with the beds, and it's something else I need to mention to Oscar and his team about Psycast Extended. The little golems, they take beds. They will just randomly take an animal bed, and that means that you can't use the animal bed. So there goes another Ripper Hound. Better the animals than our colonists, but yeah, we're gonna have Champ is down, probably gonna die. I sent Rotkiv out because I was trying to find Rotkiv's weapon before it deteriorated too, and I find where he got knocked unconscious by all the gear scattered around. And we finish triage, and then we have to start triage on Caffey, who's gotten an infection. That's the other thing about this environment. Every wound is an infection. Every fucking wound is an infection waiting to happen. Any open cut, any wound is another potential infection. We're trying to treat the dogs on site, and I'm like, no, bring them in. Bring them inside. We need to prevent infections. And then a lidworm shows up. We're still... Cappy's been treated, but it shows up and it goes into our mulberry bushes. Which I'm realizing the mulberry bushes are bugged. They don't generate silkworms like it says they should. So I have to rely entirely on chat for anything that needs silk. And the only way to get silk is to cheat it. The mod developers even said I can't fix it. The only way to get silk is to cheat it in. And I'm like, just give us a silkworm tree that grows silkworms. That'd be great. Yeah, we need to get this lidworm to fucking die, because lidworms are legendary giant snakes. But they don't just keep to themselves. They come straight to your colony, and then as soon as they get hungry, the first colonist they see, they try to eat. So it's a problem that needs to be bit now. Another colonist tried to join and did not even get on the fucking map. Did not even get on the fucking map. Most of the colonists, I have to send out a team immediately after they join to try to rescue them. And our rescue team didn't get here in time. They did not get here in time. And colonist is dead, so we got to get rid of these fucking giant fucking spiders. And we're going to use magical power galore and then charge the fuckers. And their webs cause burns. Their webs just cause fire burns. These things are awful. We live with these things. They're one of the common species in the area. So I gotta bury a colonist that didn't even get a chat name. Emma, your story is you showed up and you proved how dangerous this place is. That's your entire story. I'm in here now. Animal plague breaks out. You notice all the wolves that are down on the beds right now? It's 7 a.m. Any of them that don't have Z's coming up from them, they have plague. We have to get in here and fix this. We've also tamed a herd of chocobos. But yeah, we've got a ton of fucking animals. And thankfully, we can make antibiotics now. And the chat sent me some antibiotics while I was trying to get them made. And we're going to be blowing words of immunity. Spectre. I have to highlight this. This is one of the highlights of this run. Spectre joined us as a raider. This is the third incarnation of Spectre the Raider. They're now a pacifist doctor who refuses to harm anyone. Under any circumstance, they will not use a weapon. They came to us as a former raider and pirate. A person who would show up to our base, and they didn't come to us as someone we took prisoner in Stockholm Syndrome. They showed up and said, I want to live here. As a wanderer joining our colony away from where they came from, and they're fully rehabilitated. And now we get to witness a sweet, wonderful marriage. Dreamer Glitch and Foregone have been lovers in our colony since the last Decemberary, and it took an entire year later for them to get married. And it's a beautiful little thing. We've augmented and advanced our workshops. I built those silkworm racks thinking I was going to get silkworms. No. That's not how that works. And then a raid shows up right in our fucking barn. And you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, most of them actually landed in the barracks. I thought they were landing in the barn. So we get our melee team ready. We get them ready to go in, thinking that they've landed in the barn. We tell our children, get to the workshop where it's safe as fast as you can. And then they just start yanking people in. They use the lasso, which is one of the most overpowered weapons in Combat Extended, because you can yank people through out of cover or into areas. And they're killing hens. They're killing our fucking chickens. Yeah, fuck these people. So we get in there and see the menu is blocking what is the actual problem, because all that interface at the bottom of the screen is blocking, and then I see it. The barracks has been demolished. Multiple beds destroyed. Our archer squad is trying to fight their way in. I'm trying to figure out why they're trying to fight their way in. And if you look at the top of the screen, you'll notice little baby Coyote is turned sideways. That means they're down. That means they need rescue. Little baby Coyote is inside that barracks, fighting for their life. Baby Owleye over there is fighting a raider with a fucking reed flute and has stabbed the fucker in the eye, stabbed him in the shin, and put the raider down before somebody put him down. So I'm trying to get the archery squad, the not melee fighters, out of the way so our melee fighters can get in there. And you see on the lower right section of the screen, what is really unfolding is Coyote is burning alive. The baby is on fucking fire. And we're trying to get in there and finish off these fucking drop raider assholes. And then I give up on... Now we've got to start triage. I see how bad the fire is on Coyote, and I've given up on them. I'm trying to save the adults, because the adults are the ones that the colony can't live without. That's our head researcher and our best fire wizard are both being dragged back to the hospital right now. They ordered people to stand down to get in there and fight the fires, to stop the entirety of the barracks from being destroyed, or we will have no beds tonight. The roof is gone from the raid. And then, without me realizing it, Pony Chick puts the fire out that was on Coyote. I go look at Owleye. He's had his eye stabbed out. But little Owleye has a kill. Alright, stand down out of combat mode. Let's get this triage done. We can do this. Pony Chick, despite having a genetic extreme fear of fire, has run into that fire because she has a gene that makes her literally have panic attacks at fire. You see the notification on the right hand side of the screen. She ran into that fire, put it out, and it takes me 20 minutes to realize what she's done. People send a resurrector mech serum, and I'm like, you can't resurrect people or animals if there's no body. Somebody bought a resurrector mech serum. Can't use it. There's no body. The list of casualties is insane. I'm trying to do cleanup, triage, get new beds put in, get a new roof put on. so we can avoid mental breaks. And then I see what she's done. I see it right now. Coyote has the flu? I thought Coyote was dead. Coyote lived. Severely burned across the face, scarred for life. With burns on the arm and leg. It's a 2-year-old. A 2-year-old child. And Randy's relentless. We haven't had time to replenish our animal stock. We still have a bunch of beam targeters. But Randy is relentless. So we're gonna use everything we have. We have been making nice things. I've got a throne room now. We've got a temple set up properly. We're getting people positioned, and I don't know how this is going to go. No idea how it's going to go. I just know it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be particularly ugly. And so we get powered up. We have a bunch of psycasts now. We're going to use them. Psycasts are useless if you don't use them. That's always been my policy. Use those psycasts. We're setting up. We're going to call in meteors. We're gonna unleash explosives. We're gonna do everything we can to keep these fuckers at bay. So we call in meteors. The meteors don't do a ton. Don't do a lot. They only hit 2 people, and they only stun them. But it's a start. Gafragon doesn't have the highest psychic sensitivity. He does have a pretty high one, but not the highest. Beam targeter right there to try to cut off that unit from going to the right. Unleash the animals. Just let them loose. Fire another beam targeter right there. Just let them have it. Our three muscle wizards ready to go, all charged up. That secondary raid still coming in. And it's time for lightning strikes. Now, you got to remember, I can't pause. I can't pause to issue orders between the 2 fronts. I've got to manage this between these 2 fronts. Little sister, I'm sorry, Miranda. I know we named that wolf after you. Orst's Ripper Hound, dead on the spot. Unleash the beam targeter. We're using our animals as distraction to buy time. That's what they're for. They are distraction to buy time right now. And it's the best distraction we have. Eye lasers. Fuck it. Eye lasers. Let's go full Cyclops. And I'm just... I tell fucking Gafragon, fire everything you have. And Gafragon's overheated and out of sight power. Jerry's dead. Probably... Jerry's dead over here because they are set to be allowed out there because that's where our hops field is. And they're just getting mauled. And we're doing everything we can, but again, these embrasures from Medieval Overhaul, I'm discovering some of the Medieval Overhaul stuff is badly bugged. These embrasures are badly bugged. They have terrible sight lines that don't work when you're standing next to them. They work when you're standing back and away from them, which makes 0 fucking sense. The Ripper Hound named Bullwinkle is gone. His friend Skippy the Squirrel died in the drop raid. We still haven't repaired from the drop raid. You can see the beds that still need to be built in the barracks when I scroll past. There's still all those beds that we still have beds that need to be built. We haven't finished putting the roof back on. This is relentless. And Champ the Beagle is down. Is dead. There goes a Timberwolf puppy. I'm trying to not call in the beam targeter or the orbital strike beacons on my own people or on the animatrees because, oh dear God, what would happen if I hit both those animatrees? I almost did it! Oh, and then I realized there's animatrees there. That'd be bad. And these fuckers are breaking in. They've gotten inside. There goes Survivor, a Ripperhound puppy that survived, and these guys are stealing stuff from us. They've just decided to steal what they can and leave. They're running off with Thrumbo wool. They're running off with linen. They're running off with all sorts of our leathers and a couple of our dead animals. And I'm doing everything I can to stop it. And there goes the last of the starting bonded Timberwolves. And there goes our mulberry field. And there goes Runt. I tell my colonists, seek and destroy. We stayed inside too long. That's on me. We stayed inside too long. I should have unleashed you guys sooner. And I have no problem wasting a beam targeter. It's an easy button. There goes one of Bronze's rock constructs. You can see the death notifications for all our animals. It's adding up. It's at this point I realize the Timberwolves and Ripperhounds aren't going to work anymore. Our enemies are too many and their weapons are too good. Ralphaz II, dead. These are all just a lot of different animals. And I realize this is more a highlight show than the story. But that's because there's so much I need to cram into this first episode. In the next episode, I'll take the time to introduce a bunch of these things. Especially the people. And tell you about them. Step by step. There goes Arseny. There goes Dusty. There goes Fluffy. Remember when we bought Fluffy? Bronze is down. His arm has been hacked off. He's our chief blacksmith. How are you going to be a blacksmith with one arm? And we're in triage mode. Ozzy, the amoeba so the amoebas are fun. They're slimes, but they go around and they clean up they eat the filth off the ground. And these fuckers are going to get away. I mean, it costs them unholy amounts of casualties, but they are in fact going to get away. And my wife is out there. I'm checking her boosts. She doesn't have it. Let's go. I'm hoping she can catch at least one more of them. I'm coming charging out there. Pony Chick is running away from something that's on fire. And we get two more. But by now, our colonists are all exhausted. There's little sense in trying to chase anyone else down. Candle Draw, our new Knight of the Realm. A title that we made for them. And because we've slowly become a much more feudal style kingdom. And this is just... it's a brutal, brutal world, RimWorld. I'm introducing my audience to this because it's worth introducing you to. This is my most played game at this point. Hands down. It beats New Vegas at 3,959 hours. I'm still learning new stuff in it. Every single time I play it. Still learning new stuff in it. Every single time I play it. And it's a good experience. Even when I have to deal with all of the death and pain that I'm dealing with, it's still a good experience. And here we are. Final Sight's trying to get Bronze inside. Dreamer Glitch, Caffey Cup are running out, treating animals in the snow and dirt. My character's gone and passed out. I'm exhausted. I'm at 0 sleep meter. but I gotta get up. Help. I gotta fix. I gotta heal. I need to get bonded animals buried before they're accidentally butchered. Because, you know, it comes to the point where you can barely tell bodies apart with how disfigured they are. And then I say, Randy, no. You notice it's the same date in game, the 4th of April, May, 1503. You noticed Willow, Outback Fox's Ripper Hound, isn't even healed yet. And it takes days to heal, by the way. So you know it's and there's another dire raid coming down on us. But unlike the previous raid that had guns and grenades, this raid doesn't. They're all melee and they're all bunched up. And we have one more beacon. So an orbital bombardment might just stop this insanity for a day. I'm not even asking for much, Randy. I'm asking for a day. And you made me waste all that rose quartz from that asteroid to slaughter a bunch of raiders and get my frame rate back. We did recover a uranium great axe, which means my wife is going to upgrade her steel great axe to uranium. And everyone's like, uranium's radioactive. Yes, but in RimWorld, uranium not only represents a potential radioactive material, it represents stronger than steel metal alloys that aren't space steel. Uranium has the highest penetration value for any metal object. And so she's going to get a uranium great axe. And that's just how it is. The steel masterwork axe is just, it's not as good as the uranium, as a good level uranium one. And we still have excellent and masterwork and legendary to go through. So I tell her, go get your new axe. We get a psychic droner for pay. And it has something we really need. Healer serums. Being able to regenerate lost limbs is crucial. It's absolutely crucial to us. So I'm going to send somebody out for it. I got to. I got to send somebody out to get that. It's vitally important that we acquire those. And we get the healer serum for free. But if we don't complete the quest, we're going to get penalized pretty badly. And that's not going to be fun. So, here we are. Sending out our people to go deal with this. One of the things that I'm trying to get to work better at, by the way, is sending out people on caravans and quests. I'm always so hesitant to do it because caravans are scary. They legitimately are very, very, very scary. So I'm very hesitant to do it. But here we are with Rotkiv, Lunar, and they have guns. They have a lot of guns. And I know this. I know they have guns. So we've got to act. And so we're acting. In our best interest. To take the people with the guns and tell them to get off our land. Or in this case, more precisely, to stop with the droner shit. And we're scrambling. But this is our first out of colony raid that I've only sent a couple people instead of having to send like half the colony and all in a shitload of animals. This is our very first raid on this run. We've got sufficient equipment. The wizard spells allow us to close the distance. We kill Skip in order to stop the shotgun fire, and we're just on it. Candle draws kill Skip, warps them to the other side, and she's on a different guy who had a sniper rifle, and that's it. That's the whole raid. There's one guy left alive. We did it in seconds. And this is the thing about playing this on no pause. Combat becomes so much more fun and adrenaline focused and crazy vicious. We acquire a ring that will... Oh, that's the wrong one. A ring of haste, I should say. Candledraw picked it up prematurely with the ring that we made them, which is an amber ring. And we give the amber ring to Rotkiv just so they have a nice ring on their hand. But a ring of haste makes colonists move faster. And the chocobo are definitely helpful for getting here. I do notice that we did have some 40-40 rounds hit us. But our armor, thanks to bronze, and I'll show you the armor types we're using. Our armor, thanks to bronze, is thankfully sufficient to stop that kind of death. We're going to take that alligator we killed, because you know what? Victory meal is victory meal, and victory tastes good. We're going to take that with us, and we're going to take the urns. Urns are an art piece in RimWorld, but you can't make them. You can only find them, or they'll be on... Sometimes they'll be on your map where you start, but for the most part, you can only find them. The caravan screen kind of bugged out, so I wasn't keen to just keep sitting here trying to fiddle with it. So I didn't. I got everyone loaded up, and we got headed home. And we've got to send... And at the same time, we were hosting a noble, and we got to send him home now. So, Neme, thanks for stopping by. Maybe you'll come. Maybe we'll get another noble sometime. In the meantime, get the shit out of here. And Candledraw officially got a noble title from the Empire. The Empire we intend on betraying. Viral abrasia is the worst thing in this place, by the way. It's a leftover bioweapon. We've nearly lost 2 colonists to it, as it slowly makes you sleep more and more until you fall into a coma and never wake up again, and your loved ones have to watch. Little baby Coyote has recovered from their burns. Permanently scarred, but they have recovered. And now we're going to go raid a ruin. Now, ruins are something from Medieval Overhaul. We were tasked with this via a quest. Now, first thing you do when you get to a new area is you set up a home zone for the animals and tell them they have to stay in there. That's so you don't have to worry about where they are or what they're doing. You set up a place for them to be safe. So, right now, they're fighting the Death Stingers, which are huge, giant, fuck-off hornets that hate everybody. That's what's going on up there. They're fighting those, and they're trying to break the hive. And I realize we could just rush in and kill them. So we do. Lunar and Gaffergun quickly get into combat. Maxinator provides some arrows. And like that, they're down. Now we can finish them off. Take out the hive ourselves before it spawns more death hornets. I don't realize I'm clicking on the wrong fucking spot. Let's say fuck it. Throw a Molotov. I can't find the spot. Throw a Molotov. We'll let the fire do the work. But now we've got a ruin. And inside that ruin, is where the real fight begins. You see, the quest only requires that you kill the people outside. Stop firing at will. You're wasting your arrows. We're going to need those. But you can go inside. And there's no telling what you'll find. I didn't realize you could open the remains. I didn't actually do that. I should have done that. That's something I missed. Well, Lunar's gotten into a dead end. Oregon, on the other hand, has found a path. I think maybe there's something inside here. Nope, there's not. There's some food. We keep hacking our way in. I saw that door close. I know there's a person in here. Kill that bitch! Tren Vossman? Is that your name? Well, you're down now, honey. Tell my crew start taking their drugs. We're gonna need them. Because I equip everyone with... And now I realize we've got to finish this ruin raid. We've got to finish it quick. Because Randy has given the chat the opportunity to choose a raid to throw at me. And the chat hasn't voted yet. And I'm like, a shit. So we might not get this whole ruin done. I've got to finish it and get the caravan moving before that drop raid hits, because it might land here with the caravan, and a raid landing with the caravan would go very poorly. I've got to make a decision. I set that aside to stop having to worry about it. I'll make that decision when the time comes. I tell them, open the chests, show me what's in it, and we need to go. Because that's just what happens sometimes. We're not going to finish exploring this ruin. I have no idea what was here. There's a bunch of things I didn't open, but I don't have time. Time has run out. I need to just check off the stuff we can take with us as quick as I can. If you notice, at the very top is hyperweave. It's literally the best material in the game. You can usually only get it through quests or special events, or finding it from enemies, or the Empire gifts it to you, or you have some you cheat it in. That's the only ways really to get it. We have an animal that generates it, but we have one bionic thrumbo. And here it comes. A fearful hide raid. Oh no. Oh no, a giant insectoid fuck-off raid. Hundreds of huge megapedes and spiders and gigalocusts, numbering in the ridiculous. I try to set up our archers. We still haven't replaced those damn embrasures in every part of the colony. It just hasn't happened yet. I get our melee team up here and ready, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. We're mid-upgrade on some of our weapons. We're going to have to really rely on psychic powers here, because some of those things have armor that we can't penetrate. I stand in the door to hold it open so they will come straight to me instead of going around or some other location. I've adjusted home zones to try to keep animals indoors. Archers just start opening fire. And they're opening fire with flaming arrows as I have Final Sight finally get to use his electric powers. And the Gigalocust come Talon, the fucking Griffin. I swear, I have the bravest, stupidest Griffin ever. That fucker has rushed into combat so many times. Tang the Timberwolf, dead. These are new Timberwolves. These are freshly trained as after being puppies. Dead. Dead. I see the Royal Mega Spiders. I know this is going to be a fight. And it's not going to be a fun fight. I've unleashed animals. Doom the Ripper Hound Cub. Then some of them got caught out in the open. Ripper Hound gone. Lolita, new Timberwolf puppy, gone. I'm locking the doors, trying to keep the creatures inside. It's going to be bloody, bloody work. One of the challenges of making this into a video series is the fact I can't pause to like take it all in. So what you guys are seeing is what I'm seeing, and that's, we can set them on fire with lightning. Awesome. But they've already started flanking around the side, and there goes the first puppy we ever had. First was the very first puppy. First is dead. And we can't get out, like getting out there to assist them. I tell Caffey and Candle Draw and Tribal to stand outside. Maybe we can draw them to us. Another Ripper Hound, gone. This one named Rip. I actually tell Candle Draw to rescue Talon because Candle Draw's under the effects of the thermal speed gene, and because it's too and it's just not a good day for her. Cappy's engaging in solo combat with a Megapede, a rock construct, and I'm like, where's the rock construct dying? Why'd the Corgi die? Where? I'm trying to figure out where the murder's happening. Because the thing with animal deaths is you can't jump to it. And then I see they flanked around, they've gotten inside, and it's a bad day. But one of the things that I did was the caravan hadn't left yet. And Forgon found a named two-handed winged mace named Pendulum. But at the end of the day, the insect battle, I don't have all the footage from the battle, but you can see the wealth loss and all of the death messages from animal after animal after animal after animal after animal after animal. That one raid cost us nearly every combat animal we had, several rock constructs, several pets, like the Moonhoof the Corgi. Both our Corgis dead. I can't live with our failure. One of the resurrection serums we got, I use on a Corgi. Short stack is not allowed to die. And we begin replacing those damn embrasures that just aren't working right. As you can see from Rockkiv making an effort to get them replaced with proper embrasures that will actually function correctly and allow us to shoot out of them without having constant line of sight problems. It's something that has to be done. It is something that has to be done. And then chat is voting on probably something horrific. But I'm trying to tell my chat to vote for gutworms. I'm trying to check and make sure, but we can have a medicine now, multivitamins, strangely, that prevent gutworms. And just like that, we only get one person with gutworms because they hadn't taken their multivitamin yet. But we do have some rudimentary medicines now, and we're trying to treat this bioweapon. Mint tea gives an immunity boost. The remoxicillin is a basic antibiotic, and I'm trying to get stuff treated. We have several people who didn't take their multivitamin, so they gotta take Rimpeptic now and get treated for gutworms. They gotta get treated for those fucking parasites. We do have late medieval medicine. We've done some developments. As you can see, our hospital actually has bronze tiling and bronze walls. These things are the primitive versions of sterile conditions, because bronze, while not as effective as proper modern sterile materials, is still pretty good about not being a place for stuff to fester. Apparently, according to Vanilla Expanded. I'm going with the game's logic, not with what may be real life. But yeah, this is just another phase of the things being thrown at us. Right after all of those vicious raids, right after the vicious insectoid raid, viruses, gut worms, all sorts of problems. And we're training Spectre, who's become the Seraphim, the angel of mercy in the colony. Went from being a vicious, horrible raider to an angel of mercy. It's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing to see individual colonist tales. We develop casual wear, and some people are like, well, what good is casual wear? Scarves. Scarves from Vanilla Expanded are one of the best things to be added to RimWorld. And some people are staring at me like, what do scarves do? A lot of armor in RimWorld doesn't cover the neck and jaw. So you're still vulnerable to being hit there and finding out that there's... Because RimWorld has a body statistic where things land randomly. As you can see, the plasteel hallmark doesn't cover the jaw or the neck or the jaw. A lot of armor in RimWorld doesn't cover the neck and jaw. Scarves do. And headscarves can go underneath helmets to provide an extra layer of just protection from both the elements and someone trying to stab your skull. So literally, scarves are one of the best things added to RimWorld. Scarves cover the neck and jaw. That's all they cover. They also provide a small toxic resistance, and headscarves can go under your armor, your head armor. They're one of the best things added to RimWorld. Bar none. It makes me giggle, but it's the truth. They're one of the best things added. And they can be made out of any material. So if we make it out of white thrumbo fur or white thrumbo wool, it's 2 millimeters of effective steel. 2 millimeters of effective steel protection and toxic resistance and smoke and resistance to smoke inhalation. But I realize now that the Ripper Hounds and the Timberwolves aren't going to cut it anymore. So there is a native creature here called the Raptor Shrimp. And they are tameable. You can tame them. And their primary role is regenerating shock troops. Because one of the scary parts about Raptor Shrimp is how fast they regenerate wounds. And they have excellent armor penetration qualities with those blades with those bladed hands. So, we begin the process of recruiting Ripper Hounds. Taming Ripper Hounds in order to use them as weapons. And here's our first little Ripper Hound. Yeah, our first little Ripper Hound. And this is going to become a constant theme. We're going to name it, Stabby, probably, or something. Blady. Blady sounds better. But to give a twist, remember all that stuff I talked about preparing for the heat? We're in an ice age now. And in less than 15 days, we're going to experience our first winter with negative freezing. Our crops are going to go from being set on fire to dying of the cold. And it's something we're totally not prepared for yet. This gives you an overview of RimWorld. Its difficulties, its challenges, its insanity. Next episode, I'm going to go over the 21 colonists who are braving this place. Well, the 15 colonists and their 6 children. And I'm going to just take some time to introduce you to the colony itself. And then we're going to start talking about its development from there. The story told here is very different. And I want you to experience that story with me. So, this video needs 20 likes. That's all I'm asking is 20. I know my viewership. 20 likes on every RimWorld video, and the series will continue as long as you keep hitting the like button. In the meantime, good night, everyone. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. If you didn't, let me know. It was just an overview of all the events so far on this crazy fucking swamp challenge. If you like seeing me play RimWorld, I'll make you a deal. I'll play a live stream game, and then we'll, which is what you've just witnessed, and then we'll play a separate game on off stream once a week, because I will need 6 hours to sit down and get enough footage for a decent video. The future videos will be a lot shorter than this one. This was just to give you the experience of all of April in one video. In the meantime, Patreon is the reason this video was made. A patron reached out to me and wanted me to resume making Let's Play videos. I'll see you all next time. And it's subathon. Right now on live stream, it is subathon. So get over to live stream, make the subathon keep going, make me work. I'm gonna go get some sleep now. Good night, everybody.